vibrate. Y'all know what it is. Not too far in the future, not too far in the past. Right now, it's been a while. I'm allowed for y'all to tap in, come into the chat room. I know it's a midday, early midday build, but I also realize, some people overseas, may also be able to kind of tap in at those certain moments, like either in the morning or like late at night when it's early in the morning somewhere else. And of course, as y'all come in, let me know if the audio and visual is good. Paco Boy, peace, my brother. Yo, Mr. West, blessings, peace. Happy now. We're gonna have like me just the open topic, allowing for me to kind of just let it flow. I realize how much sometimes trying to be too strict and rigid on how I do my lives sometimes just kind of keep me from even doing them in essence, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, all right, because I do want to implement more structure and be more focused in certain ways I do things. But then there's certain things where it's like, all right, your uniqueness, that's the thing, my uniqueness, I don't know about nobody else. My uniqueness, tends to flow in a little unorthodox and unpredictable type of way in essence, you know what I'm saying? But say audio and visual. Audio good, but it's a little blurry on my end. All right, I don't know. Might be the connection, but we'll see. But I wanted to get into graduation. What sparked it was, I'm like, why do, the school system have graduation around, this certain time, you know what I'm saying? We just passed that time, but like basically like that, April, May little area, you know what I'm saying? Like why graduation is around that time. Now, of course, again, graduation, the school system, it's all to mimic, this earthly plane, what I'm saying, in essence, and its connection with, astrology, and the astrological archetypes, and basically how you, learn and grow through these different archetypes. As much as, using the analogy or using the whole, hey, 360 degrees of knowledge, you got to get the full circle, the full 360 degrees, the ring of Solomon, you know what I'm saying, understanding the astrology, understanding the understanding the archetypes, fully, getting that full 360 degrees, you know what I'm saying? But as much as it's said, it's like really seeing like it's really like, getting degrees and learning as you grow, you know what I'm saying? And first off, breaking down the word graduate, graduate, one who holds a degree. And of course, with the etymology of it, medieval Latin, graduatus. And graduatus is basically to take a degree. So here you got the word graduate, and it means one who holds a degree. One of the definitions is one who holds a degree. And again, in medieval Latin, it's called graduatus. with the past participle being graduare, almost like education and educare almost. So you see how that even, you know what I'm saying, connects. But again, it also means to take a degree. And in Latin, gradus could mean a step, you know, basically a step climbed on a ladder, you know, or a step towards something, you know, because you're climbing in degrees, you know what I'm saying? You're taking a step towards something. You start your freshman year, you know, that's that first step, you know, and no coincidence, again, like how the words speak, you know, or show the true definition or the esoteric meanings of things. You know, you start your freshman year off, you know, you're a fresh man or fresh womb man, you know what I'm saying? You're the fresh womb man, fresh man. And, you know, you go from that fresh man space or that fresh womb man space, and you gradually, you know, climb, you know, you gradually, you know, climb that ladder, you gradually, you know, climb those degree points, you know, from 0 degrees, you know, because before you started preschool, you ain't had no degrees technically, you know what I'm saying? And then you graduated, you know, you gradually moved through preschool and graduated and got your preschool degree, you know, preschool, I mean, it's school, but, you know, but I get why it's called preschool, because in essence it's more so like a daycare, like you kind of just being watched, you know, as a youngster, you know, like, or as a, you know, close to that almost infant stage, because some daycares will take, you know, almost like 2, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, you know what I'm saying? So it's almost like babysitting, but we gonna teach you, you know, while we babysitting you, you know what I'm saying? Kind of that energy. But you gradually, you know what I'm saying, go up the degrees and graduate, you know. And it's also, you know, I think of the story of Ezekiel, you know, in the Bible, and the whole, like, you know, climbing the ladder and seeing the face of God, and, you know, understanding that, you know, how that even full circles, like, that's something that you gradually want to do. You know, you don't just want to jump right into it, you know, you want to gradually go into that process, you know. And this also draws a connection to, you know, seeing myself personally and in general, you know, like with a C-section, you know, like when a woman, you know, is pregnant, and instead of having her birth naturally, you know, for whatever it's worth, you know, let the doctors with their little, you know, influence talk them into, hey, you should get, you know, you shouldn't do it naturally, you should do a C-section. But I realized how a C-section, you know, represents like jumping right into something and not gradually going through things, you know. Because I even seen, again, that's when I had my certain little trips, you know, that I had, you know, certain little meditations that, and especially one recently where it's like, oh, you know, like that's why in essence I have this energy of wanting to jump right into things, you know, instead of gradually doing it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to, you know, find out and take some DMT right now, you know what I'm saying? Instead of gradually growing into it, you know what I'm saying? And the same thing with that birthing process. That birthing process is a personification of not gradually moving through the vaginal canal and just jumping right into the world, you know what I'm saying? You didn't go through that, because again, that's also, you know, vortex science as well, you know what I'm saying? Being squeezed through the vaginal canal is like going through a torus field, and it has like an energetic importance, you feel me? And it's something that, again, that you want to do gradually, because again, everything we're doing is also creating our body or creating our world for our next experience. You know, what you're going through right now, you know, right now you're healing past, creating future. You know what I'm saying? And you're building your body for the next life right now. And when we say building the body for the next life, you know, not necessarily like, you know, for some it may be reincarnation. For some it's, you know, transitioning from out the you know, the dense aspect of, you know, being. But again, graduate, one who holds a degree. Now, just generally speaking, you know, again, when I question the whole like graduation and why it's, you know, in that April, May-ish, you know, time, you know, just simple, mundane aspect of like, you know, the timing allows for children to have fun in the sun, in essence. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you go to school starting in the fall, and then you get out in the springtime, or well, no, like right after the spring, but kind of still in the spring. But yeah, technically it's still the spring. But, you know, you get out of class, and then, you know, you're getting to have fun, you know, in the, basically, because in the summertime is when the sun is at its brightest and out most of the day. You know, it's also when Sirius, the dog days of summer, you know, where Sirius is also in the sky shining with the sun, you know. And the sun, in essence, you think about the tarot card, the sun card with the little child, you know what I'm saying? So you got the sun card, the sun tarot card with the little child. And then you also have the, you think of the Leo energy, you know, and the solar plexus, you know, the fifth house. The fifth house deals with children. You know, I done spoke on that, you know, in another video, talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! And Maximilian Pegasus and his Toon World cards and how that resonates with, you know, the fifth house. And in essence, the Yadala Broth energy, but more so just, again, that Leo, fifth house, sun energy. And again, that summertime, you know, allows for the children to have fun. Now, on a esoteric level, you know, things do really start in the springtime, you know. So it's like, all right, why school doesn't start off in the springtime, you know, because again, you're springing into action, like, you know, that's the perfect time to start something, you know. But I realize, like, even as I'm saying it, the school system operates, you know, and constructed a little different from being in this realm, you know what I'm saying? But, and then also seeing that in May, or that April, May, you know, timing, it's kind of like that Taurus Gemini cusp, you know. And no coincidence that Gemini in the third house represents, you know, your elementary learning, you know, like what you learn in your neighborhood, you know, street smarts, again, your early development of learning, you know what I'm saying? Learning more so about not higher learning, like the ninth house across from it, or Sagittarius across from it, but more so, again, like, you know, like learning, like, hey, the mathematics, you know, kind of like, again, it's a mercurial energy, you know what I'm saying? So it's like the analytic type of stuff, you know, hence with Mercury ruling Virgo, and Virgo wanting to, you know, just organize and analyze, you know what I'm saying? That kind of comes from that Mercury energy. But ultimately, you know, seeing how graduation is connected with degrees. Now, what also came to me is understanding degrees in your natal chart. and seeing the degrees as you being, quite literally, like, so say for instance, if you got like the sun in Capricorn at the 28th degree, as a soul, that would signify that you have, you done been through the earliest degrees of the archetype sun in Capricorn. So the characteristics of the sun being in Capricorn, you basically close to mastery of that particular archetype and that particular connection, So another example, but a little different, would be, because there's 30 degrees in each sign. So let's say Venus in Taurus, but at the 15th degree, which is like the halfway point, like where you done learned a little bit about, that archetypical energy of Venus and Taurus, and everything that comes with it, the planet Venus, and then Taurus as an earth sign, ruled by Venus, and a fixed sign, But the little degrees, have that energy to it. If it's a placement that's 0 degrees, you were in the earliest stages of that archetype. Like you got let's just say Saturn in Pisces, 0 degrees, or should I say 1 degree, to be more precise. But you're on that 1 degree of Saturn in Pisces, and you're very, very new to dealing with the archetypical connection of Saturn and Pisces, So, each degree, has that type of story to it, letting you know about yourself as a soul. Like, all right, like if you got 20 plus degrees, and you gradually went through the degrees, and you got like 20 plus degrees, at this point in a certain archetype, you're more well-rounded and have more, quote unquote, a depthhood of that particular, archetypical connection. Now, something else that I want to get into, now this me kind of just, sharing theories out loud, but with looking at degree points, was first thing, because I understand to allow for tropical astrology, and sidereal to coexist and not try to make this one is wrong, this one is right, like, not getting into that one is wrong, one is right. But I'm definitely like just peeping out like, all right, but why do we use Western, in the sense of like all throughout our history, her story, we navigated through our experience by looking at where the stars were actually at in the sky, looking at where the constellations, the planets were actually at, when it comes to real time of like them navigating, actual waters in a boat, like, and having to know like, all right, Orion coming over the horizon at this time, then it must be this season, seeing Venus as a morning star instead of an evening star, no, it must be this season, or we need to go this way, and so it's like, all right, since everything was so, and even when we talk about like monuments, mounds, pyramids, things of this nature, like they're all built on, in essence, where the stars actually are seen in the sky, you know what I'm saying, at certain points. You know, again, the pyramids lined with Orion belt, you know, like in different, you know, again, mounds are in certain placements and have a certain structure and a certain setup, you know, depending on the tribe and the people, because some people cared more about knowing when Sirius was coming over the horizon. Some people may have cared more about the Pleiades and the Seven Sisters system, you know. And the cool thing about that I just realized that the Pleiades, like I didn't I want to say in Japanese, yes, in Japanese, the Pleiades, you know, the Pleiades star system, or the Pleiades, is known as Subaru, you know. And I'm like, oh, all right. So that's why the Subaru vehicles, you know, the emblem for the Subaru vehicles are actually, like, I want to say, I think it's either 6 or 7 stars. But, you know, it's like the 7 stars on the Subaru symbol, you know, the Subaru vehicle, for those of y'all who not familiar, you know. And also the Pleiades represent the Krittikas nakshatra and Vedic astrology, but we're not going to go too deep into that, but because I almost going on that tangent almost threw me off. But anyway, getting back to, again, that difference between Western and Vedic astrology. And so, in looking at the difference in Western and Vedic, but from a degree standpoint with the natal chart, you know, because I'm looking at certain placements where in Western, I have this placement at 28 degrees. Because again, when you take this concept into, you know, like putting it into, you know, actualization, like, all right, let's see, you know, if this is true, I'll see how this works, you know, speaking to the degrees, and like, all right, if you have a placement that's like 28 degrees, that mean like you're well learned in that archetype. Or if you have a placement that's like at 2 degrees, you kind of fresh to that archetype, you know what I'm saying, fresh at learning that, you know, archetypical energy. So it's like, all right, in tropical, you know, I have, like, let's say, again, like the Mars and Pisces vibe, you know, 28 degrees. So in Western, you know, it's like I'm well learned in that energy. But then in Vedic, you know, it's like on the, I want to say like the 3rd or 4th degree. So it's like, all right, you're new to this energy in this system, you know, observing the stars and, you know, being aware of the celestial bodies. So it's like, all right, which one, you know what I'm saying? And that's, again, you like doing your best to not be like, which one right and which one wrong, you know. More so seeing, again, like how they both have truth into them, and not try to play the whole duck season, rabbit season game. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, which one is it? But, you know, it definitely kind of, again, brought me to a space of like, all right, well, you know, what does that mean with, you know, the observation of Vedic astrology and tropical, you know, with them having different degrees. Now, in Vedic astrology, you know, from what I learned so far, they tend to not really care too much about degree points, you know. But, and I say, like, this still has some, you know, significance, but not as much as like Western astrology, you know. And again, remembering also, as we talking about graduation, you know, you also see this in the graduation process of the fact that, you know, you're wearing the black Saturn hat, you know what I'm saying, with the black Saturn robe, you know, graduating, like you done been through the disciplines, you know, you done been through the situations that tested your response ability, your ability to respond, you know, and gradually went through all those little levels, and now you graduate, you know what I'm saying? But what also came up is, so getting to another note, bring it full circle, but progressions in astrology. So progressions in astrology basically is you getting to map out your whole lifetime, in essence, by looking at the progression. So what a progression is like, say for instance, your birthday is, I might go mine, January 5th. So if you go, so if you're 30 years old, let's just say, and you want to see what you're going to go through in your 30s, like, you know, what's going to be the energy for you in your 30s. And matter of fact, let me see this little sunlight. Bring it a little closer. If you want to see what the energy is going to be like when you're in your 30s, then you go to your birthday, and then you go 30 days from your birthday, you know, whatever date that may be, you know, and you look at where the stars were in that moment, you know. So again, like you, and in that same year, so if you was born in 77, you know, you're born on a certain day, and you're trying to see what your life will be like when you're 30, you know, you're still in 1977, and you go 30 days forward, you know, and then you look up and see, you know, again, 1977, whatever date that is, and basically, you know, see where the stars align, and that'll let you know, in essence, what you'll be going through, you know. Now, of course, again, the inner planets move faster and are more personal because they change quickly, so they're more personal to you, you know, compared to, again, the outer planets where they move slow and they a little more connected to a collective, in essence, you know. Like, again, you'll have like mostly, you know, over, I don't, just throw a number out there, over 17,000 people who got came up in the Scorpio era where Pluto was in Scorpio, let's just say, you know, because Pluto moves slow, you know. And like the era coming up right now where Pluto is in Capricorn in Pluto's in Capricorn in Vedic, but then in Aquarius in Western. But with progressions, again, you get to map out, you know, your whole life, in essence, because again, you could go like, all right, let me see, you know, like you, let's just say, you know, you're very optimistic at living till you're 100, let's just say. Then you look at your birth chart, look at your birthday, you know, and go 100 days from your birthday and look at, again, like basically the transits in that moment, and that'll let you know like what you'll be dealing with when you're at 100. And that also just jumped me to the space of like, so what if I go look at 3,000 days from my birthday, you know what I'm saying? And now that this goes into the space of like, you know, like in essence, almost saying like, all right, if you are reincarnating, you know, back into the realm, instead of like, you know, choosing to remove yourself from the cycle of, you know, having an earthly experience, you know, if you are reincarnating, you know, you could almost like map out, you know, like way, you know what I'm saying, like see possibly what is gonna be like your energy of your next lifetime, in essence, you know what I'm saying? And so that with progressions, you know, being able to tap into seeing like, all right, you know, possibly seeing like what would be going on, or how things would align for the next lifetime. Again, that's in theory, just looking at, how everything else is aligned, looking at the other facts within astrology. Again, we're looking at degree points as like something that you gradually learning, you know what I'm saying? We're looking at progressions as something that is truthful in astrology. Most, advanced astrologists, definitely honor progressions, So I'm like, all right, looking at that fact and that fact, it wouldn't be far-fetched to think that, you could possibly even peep into the next lifetime by, looking at progressions. So bringing it back to the difference in Western and Vedic, I also realized, so like Vedic is our sidereal or Vedic astrology, follows where the planets are actually at when you look in the sky, and right now, like technically, again, it's not Gemini season, we're still in Taurus. So that stellium that Western astrology is saying is in Gemini, when you look in the sky at night, you get you one of the little apps, or you got your telescope. When you look at the sky, you'll see that all right is actually, in this area, and hence why the observation of the moon was so important in the essence of, because the moon moves quickly, and it's very visible, you could see, so without needing a telescope or any of that, you could see where the moon is at. Like if you know how the constellations look, you know how to peep out, like say for instance, the Scorpio constellation with the little tail, and you could see Antares, you could see that little red dot, you might mistake it for Mars, And it's pretty cool that you can, kind of peep that it has like a little bit of a red tint to it, more than the other stars, with your quote unquote naked eyes, with the two eyes. Now, of course, that also what comes into play and what I thought about. I'm like, all right, hey, we speak on how much to not pay attention to what you see with your two eyes, because it's only peeping out the illusion, and to tap into the first eye, like that would give you more of that true essence of what's going on before, what's going on with the two, with these two eyes. And also looking at how basically tropical astrology precedes Vedic. So basically, let's just say, like say for instance, in Vedic, Vedic don't really observe the outer planets. Vedic kind of really stop at Saturn. They don't really go into the whole Uranus. Some systems do allow for you to, still kind of embrace it in some cases, but, some systems don't. But, so I'll just go with the sun. I ain't even go with Pluto. But like, all right, the sun is in Taurus right now in Vedic, or in sidereal, and when you look in the sky, that's where, the sun is going to be, it's going to be in Taurus.
Full Metal Alchemist.
When you look at the fact that, all right, Western, the sun is in Gemini, it was like, maybe Western astrology, sticks to how it does things, regardless if it's not observing what's actually going on in the sky, because maybe it's, in a predictive vibe of like, say for instance, almost preparing for what you're gonna see in the sky eventually, in essence. So in Western astrology, the sun is in Gemini right now. only on a sheet of paper and as a collective agreement. You know what I'm saying? Again, I done did that video on that, you know what I'm saying? Well, you know, Western astrology basically is a collective agreement on a 2D sheet of paper. Like, you know, like the planetary alignments only exist as an agreement between astrologers on a sheet of paper. Like, oh, today, or on a computer screen. But again, like, you take away the computer, the paper, and the collective agreement, you know, then what they gonna, you know, what everybody would be going off of, you know. It's like in the sky, it says something different. But again, with the Western tropical, is, you know, the collective agreement says, you know, that the sun is in Gemini, regardless if I look in the sky and it's in Taurus right now. Of course, the sun would be a bad example as far as like visualizing it, because, you know, you can't really, you know, you're not going to see with these two eyes, you know, not see the other constellations behind the sun. But it's like, all right, maybe Western is on some, you know, like predicting or trying to be ahead of the curve type of energy. You know, where again, the sun is in Gemini in Western, but, you know, actually in the sky, and according to Sidereal or Vedic, it's in Taurus. You know, so it's like, all right, in Vedic, you know, the sun is eventually going to go to Gemini. So you're eventually going to have the sun in Gemini energy. You know what I'm saying? But Western is already there. Almost like on some, almost like on some time travel vibe, or again, like, you know, predicting beforehand. Y'all give me a second, because I can see this little, try to prevent this little, but yeah, the Western almost, you know, is aligned on some, you know, like let you know before it happens type of vibe. And what also came to mind was like with Neptune. See, Neptune in Western astrology is going to be going into what it is. It's going to be going into Aries for the first time in a couple of years. And I want to say, let me see if I got it in my notes right here. So Neptune hasn't been in Aries since basically like the 1860. Oh, wait. All right, so this isn't the full dates. So I have to say, you know, approximately, you know, 1862 to around 1875. But that may not be the exact accurate ones. But in that area, though, it's definitely in that area. But reason why I'm saying that, because I wrote it down according to another timeline that I was researching. Like basically, you know, when you have, especially an outer planet, when it's about to change signs, you know, again, like that's a new class. Matter of fact, that's like it's like a new class about to start, you know what I'm saying, for the beings in the plane of existence, you know what I'm saying? And not necessarily a new class to that extent, but in essence a new class, you know, because again, Neptune hasn't been in Aries since the, you know, the 1800s. Let's just say it, you know, simply like that. But again, in Vedic, Neptune is in Pisces right now, you know, and according to a telescope or in the sky, you know, Neptune would be in Pisces. And in the earlier stages of Pisces, so meaning in Sidereal or Vedic, it's not going into Aries, you know, until a nice little minute. But, you know, in Western, you know, Neptune is going to be in Aries by, I want to say, by 2025, but it's on the 29th degree right now, you know what I'm saying, of Pisces, you know. So in Western, Neptune energy, you know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, I also be kind of peeping out, like when I look at the daily, you know, transits, I also think like, all right, the children that's being born right now, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the children being born right now is going to have strong stellium in Gemini, you know what I'm saying, or Taurus, depending on, you know, which one you're looking at. You know, strong energies with the Pisces, you know. It's also looking at that story as well, you know, like knowing like, all right, the children being born right now, or the souls, you know, because they're not necessarily the children, but, you know, but the souls coming into the experience right now, you know, is going to be having this type of energy. And that's also would be telling you the type of story of like, you know, what's happening or what's going to change with the next generation by looking at the transits right now, you know, in essence, you know. So let's see. Yeah, that's something, again, just simply, you know, closing. Matter of fact, I ain't been looking at the chat. Peace to everybody. But basically, you know, just observing like, all right, again, not trying to say Western is right and, you know, sidereal is wrong, but seeing like, all right, what are they pointing to? Like, all right, if they are different, one is pointing to something for a reason and the other one is pointing to something for a reason, you know. And, you know, and looking for that understanding. Now, as I brought up the Pleiades earlier, and also, so I'm gonna kind of transition a little bit from that graduation degree conversation, and then also talk about, or just sort of just bring up like the importance of, you know, blood types, you know, and how blood types, you know, basically, you know, on a celestial level, certain connections on an ancestral level, you know, which again could add more clarity. Again, all this, you know, looking at our natal chart, you know, understanding our blood, again, understanding ourselves generally, you know what I'm saying, is to, you know, amplify the clarity within our experience, you know, and amplify the knowledge of self, you know, and amplify the clarity of that knowledge of self in this moment to help us navigate internally and externally, you know. But with the blood type, I was looking up the blood types. Now, as a matter of fact, shout out to Seven Bomar for the Sybil AI, you know. I checked it out, you know what I'm saying, just to kind of play with it, and you know what I'm saying, it's pretty dope to kind of have like a, you know, software where you could just type in a question and it could, you know, bring in certain little facts, you know what I'm saying, due to certain research. Wait 1 second. Pause for the cause. 1 second, y'all. 1 second. So blood types. And I'm not gonna explain each little blood type, just only in essence mentioning it. It's just that as I mentioned it, and I looked up one of the blood types, and it spoke on how one of the blood types is connected to the Pleiades. So I will kind of speak on that much, you know. And the Pleiades, you know, basically, you know, in, you could say in mythology, you know what I'm saying, in certain cultures, the Pleiades, matter of fact, is spoken of being chased by Orion, you know, the constellation Orion, because quite literally, you know, Orion is like a hunter. You know, he got his dogs with him. He got Sirius A, B, and the Sirius stars at his foot, you know what I'm saying? And Orion pointing towards, you know, towards the Taurus, you know, the bull, you know, with his little, you know, bow and arrow in so many ways. And yeah, it's depicted as a bow and arrow. I'm like, wait, that's Sagittarius. But basically, you know, hunting, you know, the bull in essence. And the bull just bringing it. The Taurus is connected to Aldebaran. So basically, or should I say the fixed star Aldebaran is in Taurus. And Aldebaran, or the fixed star, is also connected to the Archangel Michael. You know what I'm saying? And the Taurus energy, or the bull energy, is also connected in essence to, you could say, to the, well, you could say Christianity or the Catholic religion in essence. You know, speaking of like the Bible with the worship of Moloch, you know what I'm saying, or the bull, you know what I'm saying. But bringing it back to the Pleiades is located in the area of Taurus. And again, it depicted or spoken of in mythology that the Pleiades is being chased by Orion, which in essence is also Osiris, you know. And also the Pleiades I done spoke on is connected to basically connected to the movie Dune, or anytime you see like a group of women, you know what I'm saying, that has like a council, you know, where they running things, you know. I think of, it was on Star Wars, Ashoka, if I'm pronouncing it right. But basically Ashoka is the character with the little long tails for hair in essence, like the little two long tails. But they had like basically a connection with, you know, some witches are basically almost like the Sibyls. Like the Sibyls were the ancient fortune-telling beings within mythology. I want to say Greek mythology, but anyway. Matter of fact, let me catch myself because I'm trying to move too fast. Let me take a breather. Take a breath. So, with the Pleiades, you know, connection and being connected to a certain blood type, the Pleiades connected to the Lakota tribe in America, you know, what we call America right now. The Pleiades is connected to the Lakota tribe. Now, the Lakota tribe is known for, you know, basically having the resource of obsidian, black obsidian. And we know how black obsidian is used in a lot of, divination, looking at the black mirror, tapping into, in essence, the underworld energy, what I'm saying? Like, hence why we be having to, again, do that shadow work and face those aspects of ourselves, because that's a part of the process, what I'm saying? Even as we think of like the representation of, you could say like the celestial movement. And I think of the movie, what it was, Gods of Egypt, if I'm not mistaken, but basically them, showing like the sun having to transit through the underworld, what I'm saying? And like, of course, the sun is always being seen somewhere in the world, but in the mythology of it, it's like, oh, as the sun to our eyes goes under the horizon and it becomes dark, the sun is also transiting through the underworld, what I'm saying, going through that underworld transit. And again, black obsidian is connected to, that underworld energy, connected to volcanoes. And definitely, man, shout out to Bridge of Ra. Man, definitely check out the collaborations that we done. I want to say it was the podcast number 8 was broken down into 2 videos. And then the long 8-hour video we did, what I'm saying? And I'm still breaking down and digesting jewels and gems from that one. Like, so that was pretty dope, man. Appreciate Bridge for coming through and blessing us with those gems. But I think of the podcast number 8 where he was bringing up the Far people and the Danakil depression. Basically it's like the lowest, like the low sea level point in the world, what I'm saying? And it's located in Africa, somewhere near Ethiopia. But just like that connection with the black obsidian and volcanoes, and having that connection with the with the depths or that primordial energy in essence too, because the magma is like that primordial essence, basically the potential to be any crystal, because the magma contains every crystal that we know is in the magma. But then when the magma comes out to lava or it goes into certain other areas underneath the earth, what I'm saying, it goes through certain processes and then it becomes different crystals depending on, the growing process. The growing process could be like it having gases leaked into it in certain areas from other places underneath the ground, or it rising up to the surface and then letting the water, wind, and other things, change its dynamic, and mix with other minerals in that manner, But the magma is like that primordial energy. But bringing it back to, again, the Pleiades in connection with the Lakota tribe and black obsidian, Pleiades also is known to have a strong connection with the Australian Aborigines. Again, I talk about the Japanese calling the Pleiades Subaru, and a Subaru vehicle having the emblem that basically, has the 7 stars or the 7 sisters. And the Hindu astrology in connection with the nakshatras, it's the Krittikas nakshatra, and it's also associated with the god Kartikeya. I may not be pronouncing it right, but Kartikeya was one of Shiva's sons, connected to peacocks, and he was the brother of Ganesha, the elephant-headed deity, and his mom was Parvati. Now, there was also another connection that came up when I thought about, I don't know if I have it right here, a connection with turquoise and the air and earth connection. you know, in Hindu mythology, but we're not going to get into that since I don't have my notes right here. Let me make sure. All right, yeah, I don't have those notes right here with me, but so again, the Pleiades connected to this energy. Also in Central Asia, the Sogdian people. But what also stood out was like the Pleiades connected to, you know, understanding calendar systems, you know. And it just kind of hit when I thought about what's funny is, you know, and I might have used it as a picture on one of the live nows, but there's a Yu-Gi-Oh card that speaks on the underworld ritual of divination, you know, and on the card it shows basically the astrology wheel, you know, and the astrology wheel is also seen as like a calendar, you know what I'm saying? And that also speaks even full circle how I was just talking about, like, you know, with the calendar and what month, you know, people graduate from school in, you know what I'm saying? You know, that all kind of connects, but basically the Pleiades connected to calendar systems. And matter of fact, as again, as Bridge of Ra would say, the real Pleiades, not the fake Pleiades, you know what I'm saying? Because there is like an energy, you know, with the New Age movement where it kind of depicted the Pleiades as something different than from what it really is. But I'm not well versed at that, so I'm not gonna get into that. We're just staying on course. You know, Obsidian promotes prophetic dreams. You know, Obsidian is known as a stone of prophecy, you know. So you see like this connection with, you know, the deep depths of the underworld, the volcano, the Obsidian, you know, the Pleiades, you know, again, the calendar system and astrology, and again, being able to prophesize, you know what I'm saying? And Obsidian promotes, again, our prophetic abilities, you know, and that would also connect, you know, to the dream realm as well, you know, having prophetic dreams. And again, when you're, you know, you have these prophetic visions, you know, you be able to, you know, like the words say, profit from your prophetic visions. Now, also, let's see. Oh, so bam. All right, got a little connection right here. Appreciate y'all patience, and, you know, because there's some stuff you want to just, you know, make sure you hit these little key points, because I feel like it draws the connection better when, you know, sometimes it can be done without, of course, you know, without notes, but in some areas it's like, all right, let me make sure I have these notes so I don't, you know, sometimes we be moving in such a manner where we might have like that little moment of like, oh wait. But so with the Pleiades and the Hindu or Sanskrit name Krittikas, Krittikas, but basically that name translate into the cutters, like, you know, like Cutters. Now, how it came to me, when you think about obsidian, and obsidian, a lot of cases will be carved into like arrowheads or blades, you know, to cut things. So again, like, you know, it's like, hey, you know, you seeing everything I just said, you know, correlating. So cutting through webs of destiny by foreseeing the future. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this gets on deeper, you know what I'm saying, deeper topics. I'm not diving into that part, you know what I'm saying? But just drawing these connections. The name Krittikas, also associated with the Pleiades, you know, which is also associated with the Lakota tribe, and the Lakota tribe also associated with Obsidian, you know, and Obsidian sometimes carved to be like a knife or arrow. And another name for Krittikas are the Pleiades, but with the word Krittikas is the cutters, you know. And again, no coincidence that using the black obsidian, not necessarily as a tool to cut physically, but then also to prophesize, you know, and cut through the webs of destiny by foreseeing the future, you know. So now you see that connection as well. And the black obsidian helps us to pierce deeper into our subconscious, you know, as well. So that's kind of a thing. So we just leave it at that, drawing that connection to, again, like the Pleiades, and again, Obsidian, the Lakota tribe, calendar systems, you know. And again, though, I got into this research by researching blood types. Now me personally, I have to do further research on the blood types, because I haven't felt like I've gotten that strong, you know, internal concept of it. But, you know, I have been doing subtle researches and peeping out, you know, different sources, but it's more so like basically like note comparison, basically like checking out other people's videos on blood types and seeing what they say. And then I also played with, again, the Sybil AI, again, that Seven Bomar created, and, you know, questioning and tapping in on that level. And matter of fact, as I'm speaking on blood types, though, you know, what also has been showing up a lot is the Star Wars energy. The Star Wars energy has been coming up a lot. Give me 1 second, because I want to make sure this sunlight don't affect the video too harshly. So we may have to relocate, but before I do that, let's see if I could get a... It ain't too bad right now. But with the Star Wars and the Jedi, you know, the Jedi, you know, one of the ways that the Jedi would observe if somebody was strong with the Force, you know what I'm saying, was looking at the blood. The blood had, I forgot the proper word for it, it was the midi-chlorians or something like that they called it. But basically the blood had this certain thing in it that would show, like, all right, if somebody was strong with the Force. Because that was the thing with Anakin, later becoming Darth Vader. But Anakin, you know, was strong with the Force, you know what I'm saying, at a young age. And also with the Jedis, what that came up though too, is seeing how the Jedis connected to the, you know, the empath energy, and how the Jedis, again, you see, like, you gotta peep out the whole story, where basically they taking characteristics like of your wholeness. Like when we harmonize and whole, basically, you know, and I said that in a verse in one of my freestyle, like if Obi-Wan Kenobi shook hands with Darth Vader and you would see the balance, you know what I'm saying? Or like the dark crystal, you know what I'm saying? You see the balance, but basically, you know, balancing the yin and yang, balancing, you know, the, just these two energetic forces. But what I was gonna say, you know, like with the Jedis, they had like this empathic ability, but then also it reminded me of Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, Mantis was an empath, but what she could do is she could, with her, she had to touch the people too, if I'm not mistaken, but she would say something to somebody and they would, in essence, do what she said, like, you know, hey, you're tripping out because you just seen something, and the person start running around hollering or something like that, you know what I'm saying? And then the Jedis would also do this too, you know, like say something to try to influence people. And reason why I brought up the whole balance thing, because I'm like, you know, you see how like the Jedis had like a manipulative way about doing things just as much as, you know, Darth Vader and the dark side, you know what I'm saying? And bringing the key points together, you know, seeing where certain aspects of what Darth Vader and that whole group was aware of and what they were doing, like certain truths that would be helpful from their perspective, and then certain truths that would be helpful from like Yoda and the Jedi's perspective, you know. But the Jedis was also, though, you know, again, like using their words to manipulate in certain moments, you know what I'm saying? I remember also, though, like the part where they would try, in one of them, they was trying to manipulate a salesman, you know what I'm saying? And that's pretty key, because it's like a salesman so geared towards doing that manipulation themselves. It's like, oh, bro, you can't do that to me. Like, I do this all day, you know what I'm saying? No matter how much the force is strong with you, like, you know what I'm saying? It was in the episode 1 when Anakin was a little boy, and I forgot the name of the Jedi, but he was trying to buy a certain little ship for a certain ship so Anakin could race, but he was trying to bargain with a dude, and then he tried to use his little Jedi vibes, and it's like, oh man, that don't work on me, man. I'm a salesman, man. Like, I've been, you know, like I'm into that energy, you know what I'm saying? But again, bringing it in that connection with just seeing, though, how even with Star Wars or the Jedi, they place that importance on knowing, you know, looking at the blood, and, you know what I'm saying? And they weren't looking at blood types, but, you know, again, just seeing that blood connection and blood types, you know, because that also goes into, and I did a video, well, it's gonna be a podcast, I haven't posted it yet, but also, again, like paying attention to the importance of metals just as much as the crystals, you know, because metals have more of a certain stability to it and more of a certain purity to it. You know, that isn't to say crystals are bad. It's just understanding that, like, all right, you know, crystals, you know, do have multiple worlds in them depending on what type of crystal it is. You know, like, because again, the element or atom is a whole world. And the more worlds you have, the more of a mixture of vibrations you have, you know. And of course, we're pulling anything from Earth, you know, again, Earth is a sentient being, and pulling something from, you know, deep within the Earth, you know what I'm saying, that has that strong sentience as well. So also, you know, like being aware, though, like of the metals, and that's also the connection with, like, basically certain spirits connected to certain metal vessels. You know, that's why, like, I think of Like right now I'm rewatching the Magi anime, but it's different animes where basically, you know, jinn spirits, you know, the spirits of jinn are connected to metal vessels, you know, whether it's the jinn or genie in the lamp, you know, connected to a metal vessel, you know, or like connected to a sword, you know, the Mandalorian, you know, his name was Din Djarin, you know, almost like a jinn, you know what I'm saying? And the Mandalorians basically, you know, wore metal suits, you know, and think about your blood, you know, your blood has iron in it, you know what I'm saying, has that metal. So it's like, you know, basically a connection with, you know, the metals just as much as the crystals, you know. Again, not saying the crystals is, you know, and I'm not even gonna get too far into it because again, I've done a little video for that, you know what I'm saying, and I'll be posting that soon. Yeah, that's basically it. I don't want to be looking down at my notes too much, so I feel I got to take that cue that, all right, I done said what needs to flow. Give me 1 second so we could get out of this little sun gleam. Give me 1 second. Like a little break. Take y'all a little break. You know what? I'll bring it. All right, let's have a glare right here. Yeah, that's basically what the message that I wanted to get out. But let me know if y'all have any questions on anything that I shared, or any questions in general. You know, and what I would even like to do, like, is also like questions on anything that I have shared that you may feel like confused about or something of that nature. And other than the Q&A part, we could also kind of just get into like the open discussion, open vibes. Because speaking of like the whole, you know, again, astrology, incarnation, and, you know, calendars, and also like, you know, looking at different timelines, you know, quote unquote. And I had watched the movie Flash. I think it's the newest Flash movie. But basically he learned that if he run at a certain speed, he could run so fast he could kind of almost like in essence create a time machine and almost run to a part of the past, you know. And this story, I mean, you know, it's a constant theme. You know, somebody trying to go in the past, you know, to stop somebody from transitioning in a lot of cases, you know what I'm saying? And that, whether it's, you know, Full Metal Alchemist tried to do alchemy to bring his mom back. Darth Vader, you know, went to the dark side because he felt like the dark side was going to help him resurrect somebody, you know what I'm saying? Flash, you know what I'm saying? Trying to run to the past. He was trying to stop his mom from transitioning, you know. But I also noticed a common theme just in general, like where, you know, us dealing with ourselves, you know what I'm saying, from multiple different dimensions. Because this theme is it's in the movie Flash. Spoiler alert. The movie Flash. It's in the Umbrella Academy with number 5 from the Umbrella Academy. It's in the movie Predestination, and it's also in the show Loki with I forgot his name. He who I forgot, but basically the brethren that was at the end of time. I forgot his name, Kang, if I'm not mistaken. But they didn't show him as Kang in Loki, you know what I'm saying? But eventually, you know, they showed him as Kang in the Ant-Man movie. But he who remains. Hey, thank you, King Cap. Appreciate the, you know what I'm saying? Because that's a part of the lives, you know what I'm saying? It's like we building together. But basically this common theme of fighting with themselves, you know, he who remains. Basically his story was like, all right, I jumped timelines and then I came across other parts of myself, you know, other dimensions of myself, you know, and we end up getting into, you know, and again, it's about harmonizing these energies, but, you know what I'm saying, at the same time, you know, we're also in an individual experience, but internally, again, though, harmonizing these different dimensions of ourselves. And you had that in Loki, so he who remains, you know, dealing with himself, you know, in the movie Predestination, which is one of my top time travel movies, you know what I'm saying, in essence, where basically like he sung in the movie, I'm my own grandpa. You know, you would have to watch the movie to even get it, but basically he was chasing a bad guy, but the bad guy happened to be himself, you know, and he was just basically dealing with himself on multiple different timelines, you know what I'm saying? And then number 5 from Umbrella Academy, you know, he matter of fact, almost like in Loki, you know, he joins this company that regulates the timeline and makes sure, you know, this happens and this happened, or, you know, possibly try to tweak timelines and change things, you know. And this was also showed in this recent, I posted it on my Instagram, but it's this YouTube channel. They did basically a little visuals and a story about the Lyran and Orion War. And that was pretty dope. But, you know, again, where that came up in that one was also somebody like traveling back in time in the earlier stages in Atlantis to try to, you know, to change something. But again, number 5 from the Umbrella Academy, you know, he basically was, you know, timeline jumping and ended up coming across this company that was regulating time. And then in one instance, he come across himself and they started battling with each other, you know what I'm saying? And then later, come to find out, spoiler alert, you know what I'm saying? He was the old man in charge of the company that the younger him was working for. You know, so when he started working for this little, you know, timeline fixing, time adjustment company, you know, time traveling, time adjustment company, you know, come to find out later that he was actually the one who created it, you know what I'm saying? A different him, you know, on another timeline created that company, you know what I'm saying? Again, with Flash, you know, he went back to change things. He met the younger him, you know, but then the younger him was like, well, shit, you know, something happened. And even the younger him is like, all right, you came back to this timeline to save mom, and somebody in this timeline just got harmed, and I want to change that. But then he got like punch drunk about it. Like he just like kept trying to, almost like the butterfly effect. Like, all right, I just got to keep trying to go back to, I'm going to find this perfect time to change it, But then he ended up becoming like, almost like this evil monster. And when he first did the time travel from the first timeline, he basically came across this monster looking thing. Now at the beginning they didn't say that was him, but then later they showed like, oh, that was him after, just all messed up, stressed out from trying to keep changing timelines, and even again, like that old him trying to prevent the younger versions from doing stuff, you know what I'm saying? So basically just like a little internal battle in essence, you know what I'm saying? So, but all that to say, just showing why, again, now is the vibrate and why that's the mantra, you know what I'm saying? And in essence, also with the lesson of Saturn, in essence, teaching again responsibility, your ability to respond and to be responsible within your now moment, you know what I'm saying, instead of like trying to, thinking that you're gonna really make things perfect by going back and shift this or shift that, you know what I'm saying? It's like, now is the vibrate, you know what I'm saying? Basically, appreciating the moment, seeing how, yes, we do that type of work, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, if I envision hugging me as a child, that's basically, astral travel and to some extent time travel, because I even said, I spoke on my experience with that and how I, quite literally saw like a time travel experience in real time with myself, where as a little kid I was scared by quite literally as a little kid I was scared by this figure in the corner of the house. And then later on, to like an older age, when I'm getting into meditation and all this, I do a visualization exercise where I'm visualizing myself as a child, and for whatever reason I'm standing in that same space where, basically where the figure was that scared me as a little child. I'm standing in that same space looking at myself, and then after a little second, and I watch myself get out of the bed and get scared, and right there click, it's like, oh shit, that was me, you know what I'm saying? That scared me, you know what I'm saying, on some time travel vibes. And we're gonna say time, but in essence, within this realm, it wouldn't be so much of like necessarily time, but just taking advantage of our now moment is the better way to say, so it's not necessarily like being so rigid, like, oh, I'm on the clock, you know what I'm saying, but more so like, just really appreciate the now moment, because that was also on the movie Click a little bit. Like the movie Click kind of had a little bit to do with that, with Adam Sandler and the remote, where he kept like fast forwarding and clicking to moments that he really like, and when he would click to moments that he really like, you know what I'm saying, in real time, like, so say for instance, if he was chilling with his family and he paused things or fast forward to another space in real time, like as he paused it, he kind of could see things differently, but from his family perspective, he just kind of seemed like he was like barely there, like he was like just functional enough to be like, whatever, and basically as he like playing with the remote time travel to try to change all these things, his family experiencing him not really being there, you know. It's kind of like if you were daydreaming a lot, you know what I'm saying, instead of being present in your moment. You know, you're around some people and you daydreaming, you barely really there with them, you know, and he end up going through a divorce with his wife because she was tired of him, like, having those little dull moments, you know, and he tried to go back and change that, you know what I'm saying, but it just all goes back to that energy of, you know what I'm saying, being present and doing what we have to do in this now moment to, you know what I'm saying, shift energies, you know, heal ourselves, you know, appreciate ourselves, understand ourselves, all that good stuff. Yep. Full blood. Native man. Blood types is now how they determine who's a full blood native. All right. I stayed with the Lakota tribe in 2008. All right, hold on. We got somebody. In 2018, I experienced my first sweat ceremony there. Super deep shadow work energy there. And ironically enough, the Lakota tribe paid close attention to the blood types. Appreciate that share, Kanki Yogi. That was pretty, you know, again, because that's also, you know, a part of like sharing these videos and sharing this knowledge in real time is because, you know, with so much stuff being on the internet, it could easily be erased. But as we constantly just chiming in and staying on point with it, and, you know, not comparing notes in a toxic comparison way, but more so maybe the word comparing ain't necessarily the best word, but we're, you know, we're learning from each other's notes. Like, hey, you know, in my experience, you know, this happened, so this kind of connects with what you're saying, you know what I'm saying? And it kind of, in essence, kind of like if there was a loose connection in what I just said, that just kind of, like that just was like a handshake, you know, like strengthening, you know, what I'm speaking on. So appreciate that share. But yeah. You know, just to keep it 100, you know, Mark Abraham, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a celebrity. You know, I'm not on that, you know, I do my best. You know, and I don't see nobody as a fan. You know, I mean, I get the essence of appreciating what I do, but, you know, I'm not really into that vibe, but I appreciate your, you know what I'm saying, you coming into the space. But nah, we you know, and just setting that boundary and healthy, so you know beforehand, like this, that ain't the space I'm in, you know. Now, from Let's Make Life Easy family, you ask, how can we harness this energy? But that was a late question earlier in the conversation, so I don't know what you was talking about. If you're still in the chat, let us know what you mean by how can we harness this energy. What energy are you talking about? Like, what was I talking about when you asked, how can we harness this energy? All right, peace, Devin Malik, or Devin Malik. But yeah, let's see. So, yep. Yeah, the Kanki Yogi, I appreciate it. Right, the knowledge is infinite. and timeless. You know what I'm saying? Again, yeah, within this realm, we making sure, we, again, like, not necessarily looking at it as a time perspective, but more so just like, hey, let me appreciate my moment. Like, now is the vibrate. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that exists is this now moment. Why? Like, even if, again, like, even if somewhat hypothetically speaking, but like, if we were in a prison and this is a bad place or the worst thing, and again, some of that true. But even even still, it's like, but why would my consciousness, why would I choose to be where I'm at right now, in this avatar? You know what I'm saying? Like, and that goes to my DMT trip. I had like that strong DMT trip that was like a near-death experience. And also within it, I was like, shit, like, take me with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, man, I want to, it's like, nah, like, you here for a reason. You know what I'm saying? You ain't leaving that bodysuit now. You know what I'm saying? That's something also to understand, about yourself. If you're still in the realm right now, you know what I'm saying, it's because you have something, you know what I'm saying, to do in some way, form, or fashion. You have some important way to impact the realm, hence why you still, you know what I'm saying, you still kicking, you still here. But yeah, the knowledge is infinite and timeless. Hence why somebody could today go watch, like somebody just brought up, like, watching my videos 8 years ago. Somebody could be today just getting into it, or wherever they at on their growth, but today go watch a video that I did 5 years ago, and it sound like I'm talking like, like it's synchronized with everything in their day. Like, yo, you just said everything I'm going through today. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's it's all interconnected in that way, for sure. But yeah, like the whole little timeline thing, and it's like just appreciating the present moment, And if there isn't any questions, we're gonna close out. And appreciate y'all patience with some of the changes and shifts I'm making right now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, just greatly appreciate it, and appreciate the continuous, connections, the continuous support, mutual exchange of support. Appreciate the participation in the live videos, the comments, all that, you know what I'm saying? Like, greatly appreciate it, Because now, having to, grow up and honor my energy, seeing it on a astrology level. Again, you don't want to lock yourself into like your natal chart placements, but you see how it shows up, even when, like, again, I've seen how certain things show up for me before I even was aware of certain placements, you know what I'm saying? And I think of, like, I want to say what is called the human design chart, you know what I'm saying? But basically, in which, as Bridge of Rod, like, I heard Bridge like just popped up, but not so much a human, you know what I'm saying? More so like, quote unquote, mankind or woo mankind, because human kind of closely relates to the word homunculus, and experiment, of course, just in a human body, but at the same time, you may not be a human per se, you feel me? But as a matter of fact, as I went on that tangent, what I was gonna say. But I was just simply, though, appreciating the connections. And that's what I was going to say with the quote unquote human design charts, and being a projector, but basically the energy of someone who has to be aware of their energy levels, you know what I'm saying, and take the proper rest. And a projector is more so a person who doesn't like push through, grind, and go in like that. It's more so like having to take care of themselves, and then they get invited to to do this or do that, whatever. Like they get invited to present their goods and services in a certain manner, at a moment where it's ideal for them energetically, because what I've been dealing with and seeing is like trying to push through energetically, and like the dangers of that, not only for your health, but then also on the integrity level, because I done tried to push through in certain moments and then caused me to not be able to, do certain things and make it seem, from the perspective of somebody else, like, that might be flaky or this and that, where in essence, intention's pure. Again, it's just a lack of proper energy regulation on my end. But it's like, all right, to make sure that I'm at, integral as possible. Because again, it doesn't matter. Not say it doesn't matter if your heart is pure about the situation, but again, like the saying says, the road to hell could be paved with good intentions. It's like, all right, well, let me start, paying attention to my energy levels, regulating, and being on point with the way I do things, you know what I'm saying? So to maintain that integrity, I'm not out here trying to do a million things and giving out a million promises like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna show up, hence why I'm not much of a, like, hey, I do my best, because sometimes it do be locked in like that, like, all right, hey, we're doing a live, tomorrow, we're doing a live Tuesday, or, like being able to say it ahead of time. But even with that, you know what I'm saying, like the Mars and Pisces placement speaks to, like, hey, that's the type of energy where you're not, it's best for you to not even try to make a lot of promises or put yourself in situations or around people that expect like the word way ahead of time and like, like promises. And it's like, it's not to say that you won't be integral and that you won't show up. It's just like, but it's best for you to not even try to, make those types of promises. And, like, of course, there'll be moments again where it's on point, but like, all right, I gotta honor that. Miss Aisha, what's up, Miss Aisha Raquel? Matter of fact, y'all definitely tap in with Miss Aisha as well. She dropping gems on her YouTube channel and dropping gems in the music as well, you know what I'm saying? So definitely, tap in. Because as I even say that, speaking of in the proper energy level, at one point, I was like, all right, I see everybody else like, building, like teaching or building this type of infrastructure, stuff like this. But I realized, like, for me, is to, for one, not being able to do it all by myself, but then also, like, don't be so, you can say so tight or rigid about it, or like, oh, I gotta, it's like, nah, just kind of continuously, like, say for instance, like set up a Discord, like the Discord server where we could kind of chop it up on the Discord server, or the YouTube channel, Instagram. But basically, it may not be building like a, like a network in that type of manner, but just at the least, building a space where we could see, all right, this person kind of vibes with what I vibe with. I vibe with Universal vibe with Aisha vibe with Bridge vibe with, what I'm saying? But basically, in so many ways, what I'm saying, just drawing those connections so we can, be at the least aware of each other, what I'm saying, aware of you know, who we could connect with and who be resonating with the things that we be resonating with, you know. But yeah, that Mars and Pisces, you know, that definitely that energy right there, you know. Because again, Mars is in the sign, like Mars is like go, aggression, direct, you know, hence why Mars glyph is a circle with a point on it, like, you know, like basically like a ray in geometry, what is called a ray in geometry, but it's like going straight to, you know what I'm saying, where is that, like the ram, you know what I'm saying, Aries, you know, like pointing straight to it. But Pisces like, oh no, man, I'm in this water, you know, and not completely floaty, but you know what I'm saying, it definitely represents, you know, being more tapped into a collective more than an individual. You know, it's two fish representing, like, all right, one fish probably want to swim this way, the other fish want to swim that way, you know. And Mars like, man, like I can't pinpoint my energy here. And you end up frustrating yourself, like trying to be like super like, oh yeah, I'm got this mapped out. In the next 3 days, I'm gonna do this, you know. And for me also, more so in Vedic, the North Node is in Pisces and my South Node in Virgo. So in this lifetime, it's not meant for me to be so Virgo rigid, you know what I'm saying? Like Virgo is the South. And again, you could build upon those past skills, and that's why I can, you know, I appreciate my South Node because I can, you know, kind of organize things pretty well for, you know, for somebody with a lot of Pisces placements, or, you know, with that Pisces energy. But, you know, it's not for me to try to overly control, you know what I'm saying? It's like to kind of have a certain flow to things, you know what I'm saying? But you do want to, you know, have some form of a goal or a plan so you're not completely floaty, you know, because at least, you know, with the goal or the plan, with the Pisces, you know, that's how you will work that Mars and Pisces, like just instead of meticulously creating a plan, just have an overall understanding of what it is that you want to do, and then you kind of allow for the path, you know, to kind of unfold, you know what I'm saying, as you go. But like me personally, you know, also being a being that like to keep it as real as possible, you know, especially like because I may drop it, I'm not sure, but it was just like a note to self. It's like the Pisces dream is a Capricorn and Aries nightmare. Because I thought of like, you know, with having like that Capricorn and Aries energy that likes to like, hey, I'm doing this my way, and Capricorn like, yep, and I want to manage everything, you know what I'm saying? So like when you're in situations where you feel like you're at the whim of somebody else, it could kind of feel a little hellish to, you know, the Aries and Capricorn energy. But the Pisces energy, like, shit, I'm with this, you know what I'm saying? I didn't want to organize that much anyway, you know, but having to balance those, you know, little archetypical differences within, you know what I'm saying? Because again, like the Pisces dream is the, and matter of fact, or the Capricorn and Aries, more so the Capricorn's dream is the Pisces nightmare, you know. The Pisces not trying to be that organizing and that, you know. But, and matter of fact, speaking of that though, with Saturn transiting through Pisces, you know, that's kind of, because Saturn ruled Capricorn, but like, hey, structure, like, sit your float ass down. Hey, we're gonna, you know what I'm saying? Bam, little structure, you know, discipline. You know, nope, we ain't watching too much anime. You ain't daydreaming that much because we gotta go to the store and do this, and you gotta make sure you invest in that, and you know, it's like that energy. Yeah, most definitely. All right, you got Mars in the 12th house. All right, yep. So it's still that somewhat that influence. Yep. Eye level 007. Much love. Appreciate you. And again, just grateful to be here. Right, the mutable energy, you know what I'm saying? With the cardinal energy, again, Aries, Capricorn is the leading energies. And Capricorn, again, I talked about that, but not going too deep into it. But just looking at it from a pure numerology perspective, the zodiac, in essence, stops at Sagittarius, or the number 9. You know what I'm saying? Like 9 is the, you know, like the last number in that essence of it. Once you get to 10, that's a repeat of 1 again. And quite literally though, like again, when you look at astrology, the 10 or the 10th sign is Capricorn, and Capricorn quite literally is like a higher octave of Aries. It's the Aries that has learned to, and they glyphs and connected to the same animals somewhat too, you know, a ram and a goat, somewhat the same thing. So even showing that correlation, the one correlation, you know, Mars is exalted in Capricorn, meaning if Mars is not in Aries, it loves to be in Capricorn. And which on the opposite side, like the video I just done, though, Saturn though don't too much like to be in Aries. You know, it's like we done grew up. I ain't trying to be in that Aries energy, all that spontaneity and stuff like that. I need structure, and you know what I'm saying. Like that be the energy. But yeah, it's like a higher octave of the Aries energy. It's like the Aries that has learned how to, you know what I'm saying, plan things out instead of being too spontaneous, you know what I'm saying? And not being too, you know, quick to do things and kind of taking its time, you know what I'm saying? But still, in essence, the same energy, because again, like the goat, you know, the goat gonna go whatever part of the mountain it wants to go, you know, and it's gonna climb that mountain no matter what your opinion is or whatever. So kind of like that Aries energy, because the Aries also like, hey, it's the individual one. This is how I see it. This is the direction I feel I should go in. You know what I'm saying? It's the more so that individual energy, you know. Oh yeah, that Saturn return hit. Oh yeah, man. Look, cause that's something, you know, like sometimes with all the different rhetoric within, you know, spirituality, even with using the word spirituality and divine, you know what I'm saying? But matter of fact though, before I even go off that note, but just that energy of like, you know, when you hear the word surrender and you just gotta let things flow to a certain extent. And matter of fact, or put it like this, let things flow until you get into a situation where you see you was too floaty and you somewhere at the whim of somebody else's energy, you know what I'm saying? And it don't feel like, you know, like this is promoting growth or this is a happy, you know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, maybe, you know, there does need to be some, if not structure, at least me having my own idea of what it is that I want to do or what I'm, you know what I'm saying, meant to align with. But that's what I was going to say again, like with the word divine and spirituality. That's why etymology do be so important. As I broke down in the video, divine timing. Divine doesn't necessarily mean something good. it's just speaking, for one, it's kind of somewhat speaking into division. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, go watch the video Divine Timing, because I don't even want to mess up how smoothly I shared that in that video. But just speaking on it, you know, it's like a divine, also connected to the word Deus, and Deus connected to the air or the sky. You know what I'm saying? Now, again, not saying which one is right or which one is wrong, but you know, in the ancient, when you look at a lot of ancient texts and a lot of ancient mythology, like in essence, where we come from is like, you know, below, in essence, from the waters, and not necessarily from the sky, you know. Like, and of course that would be different depending on the, you know what I'm saying, the being. But, you know, ultimately though, you know what I'm saying, because that's the whole thing with the fallen angel. You know, a fallen angel was considered a being that went from androgynous to, you know, separate into a male and a female, you know what I'm saying? And again, I have that video as well with the fallen angel and the book, The Day of the Fish, and it breaking down like how the Dogon tribe mythology aligns with, you know, again, like this androgynous energy, you know what I'm saying, splitting into yin and yang instead of the yin and yang kind of being in one body, you know what I'm saying, it kind of splitting, and that considered being a fallen angel. But again, you know, things also start to get a kind of politicky, you know, again, that, hey, this is the best thing for us, or no, we should do it this way. As far as like, oh, you know, it's all about the water beings, oh, it's all about the sky and the mind, and you know what I'm saying. But bringing it full circle back to the divine situation, again, when you look at the etymology of it, that don't necessarily mean like you're like, let's just say, for lack of a better word, good. Because what's funny is I was about to use the word spiritual or spirituality, when technically spiritual ain't like because that word is used as like something good, like, oh, they spiritual, you know. No, spiritual is just like understanding spirits, and all spirits ain't, you know what I'm saying, necessarily, you know, a protagonist in our experience. Some spirits are antagonists, you know what I'm saying. And ultimately is like to make sure that we don't judge a spirit as all good or all bad, but ultimately to be aware of whatever temperament they're in, and if that is protagonizing in our experience or antagonizing in our experience, you know what I'm saying. But like, again, like spirit, the study of spirits, you know, that ain't saying like, oh, it means that you float like a butterfly, you know what I'm saying, in divine and spiritual. And for some of us, when we see that even some people in the quote unquote, you know, that's consciously aware or that been a part of the conscious community, or any, you know, beings that have been speaking on esoteric and occult information, when we see the fact that nobody actually pinpoints that though, you know, people still like, oh, my divine brother, and they, you know, you even say it in that manner, and oh my, and not knocking it, not saying that divine is a bad word or spiritual is a bad, you know, again, no, but it's like, oh, my spiritual, you know, when technically, you know what I'm saying, like, that's not necessarily, like, the context in which it's being used, you know, is like not represented in the etymology of it, you know. Like, the etymology says that this word just means that it's connected to sky beings. And again, if sky beings start to run earth, and then they say, all right, heaven is really in the sky, you know, that's somebody's, you know, that's their perspective or way of seeing things in that sense of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't necessarily, you know, heaven for everybody, you know. And it be like those little, you know, details within the etymology, you know. But hey, all right. Say, any advice on overcoming the fear of the antagonist spirits? No, ultimately, we're just sharing and from it's because I'm looking to answer this not just with, you know, my perspective and what I've been through, because my energy is a little different in the sense of, you know, I always felt that, you know, I was creating my experience, and to not really look at other people as like, oh, they made me feel this way, or they're bad. Like I before even getting into esoteric things, I always looked at it as like, shame on me. Like how they say, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. You know, I used to be like, fool me once, shame on me first. Like, there's shame on me from the jump, you know, even before the second time. In other words, being like, you know, accountable for, you know, or seeing again like how I was, you know, creating my experience in that manner. So ultimately, you know, like looking at like, you know, beings that are antagonists as like still like a part of me, but just a part of me that challenges me. You know what I'm saying? In that essence. But it's like, I feel like Eastern, quote unquote, Eastern spirituality, you know, and ways of looking at things with the whole yin and yang concept. Because I find like with the yin and yang concept, instead of like certain religions, like, you know, like Christianity, where it's like, you know, good and bad, you know, it's in the Eastern, it's like, hey, this is yin, this is yang. You know what I'm saying? It kind of, and even with, again, the mythology within the Hindu, we say Hindu religion, but, you know, basically where the story of how the devas and the asuras are the beings that's considered the benevolent beings, are the good beings, and the beings that's considered the quote-unquote demons or the quote-unquote bad beings, like how they had to come together in order to, you know, churn the milk, or basically like create the galaxy in so many ways. You know what I'm saying? But it's like understanding, you know, these parts of ourselves, not judging it, and doing our best to not fear it by like just constantly working on the subconscious and letting ourselves know, you know, like, hey, like say for instance, if I come across a being that is like antagonizing, or like, when you're talking more so the spirits, but just like in essence like an energy that's antagonizing, you know, for one, it's like, all right, they probably been through something, you know what I'm saying, that has them in that type of energy. But in so many ways, or let's just bring it into this, you know, having a more empathetic position while still maintaining your healthy boundaries, you know, in that essence, you know, like where you're not so empathetic to where you just like, you know, like so loving to where you let somebody, or, you know, let a spirit or a being or entity, you know, harm you in that sense of it. but you kind of like, the more you cultivate, like for me, I find that certain antagonizing spirits become upset whenever I'm not like trying to fight their energy, if that makes sense. And what's funny, it just came to me watching the anime where, the antagonizing spirit or being was like, yes, hate me, fight me, you know what I'm saying? Like, like, yes, like as if it was like feeding off of that energy of, hate and, wanting to fight. And this, again, speaking more so personally, it kind of comes easier with the Pisces energy, because it's like, the Pisces have been through all the archetypes and have like more of a understanding and the empathetic standpoint for all the other archetypes, and its protection is by, again, you protect yourself by knowing yourself to the fullest, but then also understanding that, everything is interconnected in that essence, but I would say, like, that for me is like seeing that, all right, certain antagonizing spirits like want that back and forth energy, you know what I'm saying? So that would be like, in essence, all right, bam, after all that being said, like I would say, like the answer would be like, seeing that those certain antagonizing entities want you to hate them, want you to fight them, but more so, again, in a toxic manner, in essence, like to go down to that level, where you could actually, quote unquote, fight the energy by, not giving it energy, aka, not paying attention to it. I always use the example, because the government, that's why, I'm not going to go deep into that, because, but just as an example, they do their best to just try to just say, hey, look at me, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's certain things with the government and the news where it's like just trying to get, our attention, in essence, and it feeds off of that attention, and trying to create the illusion like, hey, in order to stop this, you gotta fight us physically or go external with the fight, when it's like, no, all I gotta do is shift my focus to just building what I'm meant to be building, you know what I'm saying? Because you notice whenever you go to like focusing more on what it is that you need to do, you know what I'm saying, like, again, the distractions and antagonists want to pop up, you know what I'm saying? But again, it only gets energy by you continuously, giving that energy, you know what I'm saying? For me, it goes back to the foundation of, inner world first, outer world second, and understanding the law of correspondence of the fact that the macrocosm, or the external bigger aspect, or let's say the external aspects of being is internal. So in order to change what's going on inside of me, if I feel like there's a spirit or a person or a being, antagonizing me in some way, I go within to shift that energy, And I would even say, again, like, because I'm also trying to keep it in the realm of spirits, not basically, yeah, it's just not giving in to the back and forth, and always doing your best to make it a habit of seeing how, that energy is interconnected to you, in some way, or how that energy helps you. Like, the more you make it less of a threat, the less of a threat it becomes, because you creating a reality with your thoughts, or with, or at the least, again, like, if we're just programming our subconscious for nothing, let's just say, then at the least, you know, with the way you respond, you could respond, your responsibility, you could respond differently to certain triggers. You know what I'm saying? That creates a, you know, a different experience. But again, it's like, you know, like in the healing book of the Tao, you know what I'm saying, in the Mantak Chia book that I reference a lot in dealing with Qigong and Tai Chi, it's like, you know, you do the inner smile, you do your inner work, you know, like that basically eliminates the antagonizing energies. Like I don't even pay attention to that. Like I just need to make sure I get up in the morning, go outside and do my Qigong exercise, and that's helping to, you know, remove those antagonists as I continuously take my adaptogens, my adaptogens for stress in the body. Like my body is constantly at ease, and quite literally, when you super relax, like even with breathing techniques, you know what I'm saying, like the breath work, you know, and having a breath, you know, like say for instance, when anxiety pops up or tries to pop up, like if I just deal with my body and I calm my body down, like the anxiety don't even have nowhere to exist in a moment where I'm breathing slowly, you know what I'm saying? But it's like I would say again, like, you know, looking at it from the internal perspective. And again, though, that's me sharing from, you know what I'm saying, from my unique energy and the way I do things. Because again, Mars in Pisces is the, you know, that's martial arts, but it's also more so Qigong in the sense of like, you know, you fight by going within, you know what I'm saying? Like, because again, the 12th house Pisces energy deals with hidden enemies, you know, but the way you take care of hidden enemies externally is by knowing the hidden enemies within your subconscious, aka like how you may self-sabotage yourself, or like, you know, like certain little blind spots within you that cause for those hidden enemies to exist outside you. You know what I'm saying? And a Pisces is more, again, like Mars and Pisces is more so like I ain't going, you know, I'm not going to externally deal with this. Like, again, and I said that in one of the recent, I think in the recent podcasts I just post, but basically like you see yourself as almost like a voodoo doll, in the sense of like what you do to your body affects your experience. So if I keep, you know, taking my adaptogens, you know, getting the proper sleep, or just, you know, just implementing healthy habits in whatever ways, you know, like doing my best to stay in a healthy mental space, you know, doing my meditations, you know, you changing your external experience by doing that. Like if you ever realize, like after meditating after a while, or having a strong meditation, or meditating either a lot in one day or for a long time, and you notice that when you first come out of it, like things tend to be very calm and quiet no matter where you go out in the realm, because you kind of shift the way the realm shows up to you. You know what I'm saying? Like after meditating for a long time, it's like, you know, like say for instance, compared to moments when I wouldn't meditate, or I ain't meditate as long, because I basically meditate, you know, consistently since I first started. But, you know, it's like even now, you know what I'm saying, like doing this video outside, like in some days it'd be people passing, well, I won't even say it like that, on days where I wasn't the best in my meditation, you know what I'm saying, and I wasn't the best, you know what I'm saying, things just ain't feel the best. And sometimes that happen, you know, getting to that adept level of dealing with ourselves, we have to understand that you're not gonna always feel at your best and stuff like that. But the thing is to, you know, first accept it, but then, you know, find little ways to eventually shift the energy, but ultimately accept it first. But it's like certain days where the meditation wasn't the best, and I see that like more loud people might be, you know, passing down the street that day, compared to like if I did my 2-hour meditation. Like I go outside or just go about my day, and it's like, you know, like, I mean, people show up, but you know, it's like dang, it's very, very serene this morning. Like, what's, you know, but it's like, you know, it's the internal aspect, you know what I'm saying, and taking care of that, you know, could ultimately help, you know, energetically, you know. And I know that was a long-winded answer, but you kind of, you know, you hit a space for me, you know, like when you ask that question, I'm like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Because as soon as you ask it, I understand, like, what start popping up is like the fact that some people, you know, be feeling like, oh man, I gotta do this outside of me and do that, you know. But then I just ultimately came back to the fact, like, well, hey, you know what I'm saying, again, on this channel and on my journey, you know what I'm saying, if you've been watching the videos, and even again, and with myself, it's like, you know, it's internal first, external, you know. That's just how I see it. And yes, I'm not always at my best with that, you know what I'm saying, but you know, we creatures of habit. I constantly build that habit of, you know what I'm saying, because that's another thing, like, you know, building the habit, you know. And that kind of go to the video, matter of fact, shit, I feel like the video King Cap, if you watched the previous video I just did called Terraforming, and how spirits inhabit habitat, you know, how them words all play on each other, you know, spirit inhabit or inhabits, you know, because when something inhabits, it stays in that area. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, the cats inhabit the area of, you know, this, you know, but inhabit, and then a habitat, you know what I'm saying? But that video, I feel like, also will add some clarity, you know, especially from the perspective of what you're saying, like with the spirits, you know, because again, you're terraforming your body to connect with certain spirits, you know, certain spirits could exist in, you know, in connection with your body, you know what I'm saying? Because kind of like with Earth, you know, in Earth, certain spirits live in certain areas due to like the vibration of the certain areas, or what type of elements are stronger in that area, you know what I'm saying? But ultimately, you know what I'm saying, again, like I use the example of, you know, if you drink a lot of alcohol, you know, and ain't nothing wrong with drinking the spirits, you know, if you know how to manage it properly, you know, for yourself, you know. But if you constantly drinking, you know what I'm saying, let's just say like a drunk person, you know, like where they always drinking, like, then they're creating an internal habitat to house spirits that align with somebody who gets drunk a lot, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I would, again, like, just bring it to a internal perspective, you know, more than anything. But again, like, because I done been there, man, sometimes it'll get, you know, it could be tough, you know. Because you know, even having to, you know, explain that and walk through that experience with having a trip, you know, experiencing the quote unquote devil on the trip. And it's like, you know, I'm like, I know everything interconnect. Like, I done had enough of other DMT trips and just my energy in general, where I understand, like, nah, just the concept of a devil or fear itself is like trying to create a quote unquote devil or something outside of you that could harm you, you know. So it's like, you know, why I even had that trip in the first place, you know. And that's what I did a video on that a while back, to also share for people who may have that experience, because a lot of people don't talk about it, or it's not considered a spiritually God thing, like you ain't on your God shit if you seeing the devil in your trips and, you know, stuff like that, you know, which to some extent, you know, yes, you know what I'm saying, but it wasn't even on that level, but it's still just the fact that it showed up and kind of had somewhat of a effect. It's like, you know, like, all right, well, again, it's like, where internally am I, you know what I'm saying, missing the mark? It wasn't like, you know, because even with understanding, like, again, it's internal first and external second, you know. So yeah, even if the environment may embody something that seems like is a, you know, a subtle antagonist, it's like, but something going on inside of me, because that's how you change the root cause and really shift the energy, is by shifting, you know, again, programming the subconscious to shift, you know, your vibration, you know, because again, it's our vibration that speaks louder than our words. Again, I only, you know, have been a person that talks a lot and shares a lot because that's just a part of, you know, of my journey, you know, especially with the Chiron Gemini vibes, and either Chiron and Gemini or Gemini rising, you know, in Vedic. But, you know, it's that energy of just like, you know, speaking, and because I like to share these things. But ultimately, I know that it ain't about like trying to talk about these things, but more so like embody a certain vibration. Because even with manifestation, yes, affirmations help and speaking helps, but it's our vibration that speaks. You know what I'm saying? It's our confidence, and, you know, it's being in certain, like, you know, again, being in certain vibrational states that kind of speak, you know, because I realize how, you know, spiritual literature and certain things in the new age has this vibe of like, you know, making things more so from a human perspective instead of like on a deeper esoteric level, whereas like, you know, it really goes to like just our vibration, you know, and how our DNA speaks, our vibration speaks, you know what I'm saying? You know, again, that's why even sometimes though I do take certain breaks, because I'm like, you know, my vibration speaks more than my words. So although I'm sharing some gems and, you know, what's coming out of my mouth is on point, you know, I also like to try my best to be in a certain vibrational state whenever I tap into doing videos as well, you know what I'm saying? Because you get gems, you get those quiet gems, you know, the unspoken gems, you know, from my vibration, you know, as you watch the video, you know what I'm saying? It's like I might have been talking about a certain thing, but you watched it and you picked up on the vibe that I was in when you watched it, you know, and you got the gem from that, you know. Because I even look back at some certain moments where I was like in a dark vibration, you know. Some videos I even had to delete. Cause I'm like, all right, nah, I don't want, you know what I'm saying? Even though I've been on point with sharing the truth, and, you know, a person would understand like, hey, that ain't, you know, the message per se. It's like still got to be aware of like the vibration, and, you know what I'm saying? Because that speaks just as much as anything. Again, everything vibrating, and everything vibrating has a sound. So constantly giving off a sound or saying something technically, even without speaking. Again, our human experience of it, you know, is like to mimic the deeper technology of our being. You know, the mouth is made to mimic, you know, how we just vibrate and speak without speaking already, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that terraforming video, definitely, if you haven't watched it, you will find that to be valuable in connection with the question you asked. But we're gonna commence the video. We'll check and see if there's any other questions before we close out. and I start sharing the networking info. Right, well, cool. Hey, at the 2/20/22, but we're gonna bring this to an end. Matter of fact, we're in, if I'm not mistaken, today is a new moon. So, being aware of those seeds we're planting, that's constantly, being aware of the intentions. That's simply it, Of course, again, any and all donations are greatly appreciated. Donation links are underneath the videos and also located on the main page of the YouTube channel. And also, if donations not your thing, you would possibly want to look into the jewelry. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, right now I got some obsidian rings, some rainbow obsidian rings, tapped into the rainbow energy, riding the rainbow energy through the shadows, you know what I'm saying? Doing the shadow work in a more lighthearted manner, you know what I'm saying? Tapping in with the rainbow obsidian rings. You know what I'm saying? If you would like to have a mutual exchange of support in that manner, you know what I'm saying? But just you showing up and participating and holding the space that you're holding, you know what I'm saying? That's a beautiful thing, and I appreciate you. And of course, the website, the Etsy is all, you know what I'm saying? It's unfolding, coming together, but yeah, that's basically it for right now. Just wanted to come in and share that, 'cause it felt like it's been a while, and also like understanding the vibe of like what feeds us. In the essence of like at certain things, like doing certain things, like again, like sharing knowledge with others and just kind of building, hopping on, the videos and building on the lives. Like it does something for me, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate y'all for, showing up and connecting, participating, all that great stuff. But yeah, we're gonna commence again. No other questions, nothing else popped up in the chat. So, I greatly appreciate y'all. And, again, just subtly brushing, because it's always good to kind of subtly brush on the whole video of like, again, remembering the graduation and the importance of degrees, you know what I'm saying, within our natal chart, graduating and gradually moving through the degrees in the natal chart, understanding how to navigate our internal world and external world, you know what I'm saying, by understanding ourselves to the fullest, because when we understand ourselves to the fullest, that is one of the highest forms of protection, because you know better. You know not to go over there, because you and you know how you do, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, knowing our internal cycles, all that type of stuff. But, man, much love and appreciation to y'all. Happy now, you know what I'm saying? And, enjoy this new moon vibes. Make sure you're taking care of the crystals, letting them recharge, you know, doing whatever little reflection is necessary in these moments with the new moon, because that deals with the reflection, going internal, you know, not reflection like actual reflection, like, you know, because the full moon technically would reflect, like, you know, it's reflecting the light from the sun, more so like reflection from the perspective of, you know, energetic internal reflection, the reflection on ourselves, you know what I'm saying, and introspect, you know what I'm saying. All the re's too, almost like a retrograde, you know what I'm saying. New moons kind of have somewhat, in essence, like a retrograde, more so like from the review and, you know, kind of going over things and again planting the seeds. So, but peace. Now is a vibrate. Y'all enjoy y'all now moment, and I'll catch y'all soon.